Thanks for joining us, everyone. This call is primarily intended as I guess, a recap and a post-mortem of the September 14th incident regarding the Yala protocol and the U stablecoin. As you've noticed through our social activity and the post-mortem, the issue has been fully resolved. Liquidity for YU has been fully restored, and every user is as protected as they now can be, which is something I look forward to touching on more in the coming part of the show. But today is not only about looking back on the incident itself; it's about looking forward. So we'll walk through again not just what happened, but also the lessons we've learned and the steps we've put in place, steps and initiatives put in place to make sure that Yala as a protocol, as a DAO, and as an ecosystem emerges stronger and provides a safe avenue for users to experiment with their Bitcoin and to earn strong DeFi and RWAFi yields in the space. And we'll start off hearing from the Yala co-founders that you've just heard from, so Katie and Vicky, and then we'll transition to speaking with the key security partners from Cubist and Fuzzland, who are working with us through various governance and protocol upgrades to strengthen the Yala ecosystem. I think on that note, let's get straight into it. We have a lot to cover today, so I say we dive straight into it. So Katie and Vicky, let's start with you. Katie, could you give us a quick introduction to yourself, followed by Vicky?
Yes, thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Kai Tai. I am the co-founder, COO of Yala, and we've been working on the project since November 23. Thanks again for sticking with us along the journey, and hopefully we can answer some of your questions. We do have some prepared questions, and we open the floor for you. Look forward for the session. Thank you again, Christina and Casper, for making this possible.
Got it. And Vicky?
Hey, hello everyone. Thank you for coming. It's really great to have so strong community to supporting us, and I'm so grateful to have Cubist and Fuzzland team to come to join this session with us to help our community to see what we can answer with the questions. So I'm the co-founder and the CTO for Yala. As we started build Yala since early 2024. It has been great journey, and it's wonderful to have everyone keep supporting us.
Got it. Perfect. I think on that note, we are ready to go. So let's go straight into it. Katie, I will start with you for this one. We'll start with an incident recap of September 14th. So I was wondering, can you walk us through the events of September 14th? So what happened in plain language? Oh, I see we lost Katie as a speaker.
I can cover this. On that day, we detect unusual on-chain activity through our monitor system. It's really quick. The attacker captured a temporary access to be able to bridge a significant amount of token to our Solana and tend to be a legit YU. This is really a particular challenge for us. The attacker had set up the backdoor actually a month ahead during the very initial deployment process through the set P operation on our layer 0 bridge. It's not a protocol vulnerability. Our smart contract work as expected. It's a operational security issue during the cross-chain operation process. After we detected, we immediately stopped the bridge function and we engage Cubist, Slowmist, and Fuzzland for online forensics to do on-chain investigation for getting us know what's going on. And also we start to prevent any further authorization mining for YU, and also we work with policemen in the region wherever with our business operated. We see that the key lesson is even we follow the industry standard deployment process, we still need additional layers for monitoring and verification. That's what Cubist are building, and also that's what Fuzzland can offer. We should continue work with them to help our protocol be more secure.
Got it. Thanks a lot, Vicky. Katie, do you have anything to add here? I think judging from the postmortem, there's a strong emphasis on first of all, no protocol vulnerability, and second of all, no Bitcoin reserves touched or affected. Can you explain this a bit in plain language and why this is so important?
Yeah, of course. On the first part, no protocol vulnerability. That means the hacker did not exploit a bug in our smart contract. It's usually one of the key concerns, because if there's anything bugs in the smart contract, then that means the whole product should be reviewed. In our case, this is just a operational issue. So this is a privileged access abuse from this hacker. And we wanted to make sure that everyone understands the differences between protocol smart contract bug versus just the access operational abuse. User can be reassured that the protocol core code base hasn't been compromised, which reduces future systemic contract risk or exploit, similarly to this case. On the second point for Bitcoin, so you can see on DeFi Llama, there weren't any drop on BTC. We'll be also able to recover and adding more TVL, surging above 240 million, sitting around 250 million now. No BTC reserve touched, so that means the hacker only drained USDC from liquidity pools on ETH Solana, but the reserve on BTC stay untouched. So that limits the economic damage and contagion risk. This is also keeping our core collateral intact because we use it to mint YU, and also this also finally narrows down the remediation scope. Our team has been focused on restoring the drain liquidity rather than rebuilding the core collateral custody. So in a nutshell, our product is strong. There's no risk of similar incident happening, and we are continuing to work with partners on the audit and security side to make sure there's accurate monitoring, and we'll adjust accordingly, of course, in the future as technology evolves pretty quickly.
Okay, got it. And we'll touch on these new security measures in the coming parts of the call. So excited to get to that. So I think let's walk through, I guess, the post-mortem and the remediation process. So a big step of this entire process was on September 23rd, when Yala burned all the illegitimately minted YU and fully restored YU liquidity and protocol liquidity. Can you, Katie, touch a bit upon how the burning of the YU worked and what this meant for users of the protocol?
Yeah, of course. So burning the illegitimate YU is the same as burning tokens in other protocols. So a lot of you guys know the 0x000, etc. address. This is the burn address. So what happens is we will send the fake illegitimate YU tokens to the burn address so that this is out of circulation. And what does it mean is when we burn those supply, that reduces the hacker ability to use those fake tokens again to swap to drain our liquidity. On how liquidity was restored, so Vicky mentioned we suffered a 7.7 million of drainage, and after burning the YU, we source USDC to put it back to USDC YU liquidity, so that it helps users to redeem and trade YU at the intended peg. And shortly on for users, so a week after the incident, we put the 7.7 million back in the pools, And that means user can swap YU to USDC back at 1-to-1 with no slippage. You can also see that it restored our YU peg to the USD dollars. There's no change to the collateral, so still BTC can mint YU or USDC swap to YU. And that's basically getting back on the business as usual. And we are recovering as well with all the different partners. You can see in the past few weeks, we announced the incentive on different partners protocols. So we're happy and we'll welcome our users back to get the benefits of the partnerships.
Okay, got it. And yeah, I guess an important part of this that you just mentioned here was the coordination between partners, protocols, and users here. So I think let's touch on that. Can you walk us through the coordination process with I guess all the affected partners? So this would be exchanges, DeFi partners, auditors like Cubist and Fuzzland, and I guess the DeFi ecosystem as a whole. How was this process?
Yeah, we started to immediately suspend the layer 0 bridge. And then we'll also engage, as Vicky mentioned, with our security partners. Thanks again, Cubist, Cubist and Fuzzland team for your help. A very appreciated note here. Then also, when you have such a huge incident, we also filed with law enforcement. So we filed with different countries, as mentioned, and also having a public communications via our Twitter or social media accounts to make sure no further damage will be implicated, and also our users are aware of why the protocol isn't working as usual. The coordination on exchanges. So we notified all the centralized exchange and major liquidity providers to make sure that attackers' addresses and venues could also be monitored. So we are now on a monitor of all the hundreds of addresses from our hackers that blocks deposits from malicious addresses and assist on freezing and tracing those back. And then for cross-chain tooling, layer 0, so suspending the bridge and engaging with all the teams to make sure we got it traced on chain. This is, I think, the least minimum we can do. And Vicky is also working with other partners to get more things deployed and engaged.
Okay, perfect. And Vicky, I think I'll ask you the same question. How has been the coordination process for you, and what kind of response have you seen from auditors and partners that we have worked with?
Yeah, so since it happened, has been half months. Be honest, this is the most tough half month I have go through for my whole career. We learn a lot. We have primary three critical upgrading our systems. Um, um, Earlier I explained we have um, the in-house monitor solution. We use Grafana, and we really improve this with more monitor on top of our current bridge activity, but also the smart contract changes and also the liquidity changes as well. So, half a years ago, we already start to uh, talk to Fuzzland for get them help on this. We definitely will work with them to get them help to make sure we cover every pieces of our security operation, not only about the smart contract change, the configuration, not only about the bridge part, but also how we use the multi-sign and other key activities around asset management we have. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we at the very beginning we leveraging Cubist for our smart contract key management. But within the setting layer 0 and Solana has been very difficult to use that. So that's where we took the shortcut. So that's a later Cubist team can talk more about it. So that's where we have to enforce that every critical operation, not only deployment upgrades and fund movements, should be using multi-proofs. This gives us much more secure operations rather than just single key operation. That's the second part. Third is the third-party validation. Um, well, we're implementing the quarterly rotation security auditing. Um, Not only just about after we deploy the smart contract, like this time we let a Fuzzland and Cubist the team to take a look, make sure the configuration is right. We will proactively to get a security auditing team to help make sure the smart contract and the operation security, the process compliance and the team practice are all follow the right guideline for that. So that's really the hard lesson we learn here. Unfortunately, it's very expensive, but I think still Yala still in an early stage. We have chance to go significant size, so it's a good lesson if we learn it very well.
I agree. It's I guess it's an unfortunate expensive cost, but it's one that that strengthens and proves the resilience of the protocol. So onwards and upwards, I think. So to touch a bit upon the community and KT, I'll ask you first here. Can you I guess shed some light on the response from users and partners since liquidity was restored? What kind of feedback have you or we gotten as a whole? And what, I guess, to couple that with another question, what kind of role do you hope for the community to play going forwards?
Yeah, let me start with the first one on the community response. Um, I think it's by nature, if you see a incident like that, a hack, your first feedback would be, or question would be, are my funds safe? Um, am I able still to redeem or retrieve liquidity? And so that's why we've been trying to be pretty fast and quick on responding. And as predicted, once we restored liquidity, we saw a major outflow of USDC because people were going to redeem now their assets. So if I have to get a feedback on that, it's a mix of relief because redemption was restored, supply of fake value was burned, and there's also a increasing demand for transparency. So some of the users DM me or ask on our social media accounts to have a proof of burn, a proof of restored liquidity, and clear timelines for audits and potentially paybacks. On the partners and exchange, I think they have been very, very supportive. They ask for some proof of what's happening, proof of transaction IDs so that they can follow step by step. And we've been sending that in a timely manner. On the security side, I think overall, our community has been very supportive, and the feedback is rather positive about the transparency. We have already our transparency page, and we are sending off more proof for those implementation that's coming next. And finally, thank you for our investors and also token holders. They are still bringing that trust to us and supporting us along the way. Second part of the questions about how the community should play in the governance and security side. I think there's for the majority side, you have 2 points. The first one being transparency, and second, trying to involve our community. So on the transparency side, audit partners, bounty programs will be part of the next steps, and also public verifications where community members can potentially have a look on the dashboard that monitors bridges, for example, liquidity movements, token mints, etc. On the governance, that was also the one of the questions we've been asked from exchanges. So we plan to move to a decentralized governance to set clear threshold for emergency actions, pausing thresholds, notifications, and also emergency multi-sig quorum. So that would be implemented. And I think having those two added together, that would bring us strong argument to come back stronger, and also getting the community assured that Yala is there for the long term, and we will still push for our mission going forward.
Got it. Vicky, do you have anything to you want to add here?
No, I think Katie covered very well. Thank you, Katie.
Okay. Then I guess the last quick question before we go to our security experts at Cubist and Fuzzland. What expectations do you both have for Yala moving forwards as a protocol for the next I guess 3 to 12 months? What kind of momentum are you hoping to build on this incident?
Do you want me to start first, Vicky?
Sure.
Okay. I'll start first. I'll cover the products and milestone stage, and I'll leave the tech and security for Vicky. So we already started. This is getting our existing partners confidence to still working with us. So far, there's no issue. As I mentioned, all the incentive has been restored, and we've been receiving a lot of support. I think having OGs in the space who either survive hacks or solve RASK in the past few cycles is definitely a plus. So all of our partners is already there to support. I think the next milestone would be for us twofold. The first one is continuously having product integrations, more use cases for our stablecoin YU, and also have a diverse ways for our user to earn yields. And second is we haven't finished our listing strategy for our governance token, and I think this is also a burning question from our community. What's next? When Moon? What do you want to do with the Yala token? Just to give you a um, some information, we are still preparing for listing on new avenues, both sexes and dexes, so that it can expand our user and holder groups. So all of that would be part of the immediate next steps. I'll hand it over to Vicky for security and tech side.
Sure. So Katie have shared more about the vision around the partnership and also the token operation side. I already covered early about our security upgrades. One more thing I want to bring up is given this lesson we learned, and we want to we also discussed this with Cubist as well. We want to help the community have the more awareness and more tool to protect ourselves. What I mean is, we plan to open source the code allow us to be able to view what's the bridge settings, which right now is actually quite a challenge. We can help this as the first step, make more transparency and awareness for the operation, um, for the community, but also or within other protocols can learn from this. That's the first thing. Second thing is we see that in order to enable multi-sign in different environment could be still challenge whenever there's a new tool available. So definitely we want to contribute with the Cubist to help the key management be more secure. That's where we as a major DeFi protocol can help here. So that's where we see that for long run, Bitcoin stablecoin is still in the early stage. if we can partner with other protocol and with the security team to do this very well, this ecosystem can grow significant size. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Perfect. I think that sounds great, and it paints an optimistic picture for Yala as a protocol, as a DAO, and as a DeFi ecosystem on its own. So I think, yeah, thank you very much to both of you for the run through of the recent incident, plans for what's next, and to I guess shed some light on everything that's taken place in the Yala ecosystem in the last 2 weeks or so. I think on that note, I'd like for you both to stick around, but I'd like to do, I guess, a quote unquote expert deep dive with some of our security partners. So for now, we have Fraser from Cubist, and we have Xiao Fan from Fuzzland. So welcome, both of you. We can do a little mic check to see if the sound is working.
Hello.
Hello.
Perfect, loud and clear, both of you.
Awesome.
And
for it.
and also we have De Jong from Cubist as well. Yeah.
I haven't been able
wonderful.
to get him on as a speaker yet. I've sent him an invite, so we've pinged him on Telegram as well. So we'll make sure to get him on as a
Okay.
speaker as soon as possible.
Thank you.
I think Fraser, let's start with you if that works. Could you give us a quick introduction to yourself, Cubist, and what your tasks are at Cubist?
Yeah, totally. Hi, everyone. I'm Fraser. I'm CTO at Cubist. I'm also faculty at CMU, where I work on program correctness for security, verification, bug finding, things like that. And Cubist works on sort of secure but high performance key management. So keeping keys safe on the one hand and also really highly available on the other hand. So yeah, I'm super psyched to be here.
Okay, great to have you, and thanks for the intro. I guess to dumb it down for someone like me who doesn't have a background in, I guess, the more technical security focused aspect of the space, can you walk us through what key management is and why it's so essential?
Yeah, totally. So anytime you interact with a blockchain, that interaction is mediated by a private key, right? If you're sending funds from one address to another address, both of those addresses are associated with a private key. If you're deploying a smart contract, you need a deployment key to actually deploy that contract, etc. So to actually keep your interactions with the chain secure, you need to keep that secret key safe. You need to keep it private because if someone steals my key, then they have access to all my funds, right? So that's sort of why key management is such a foundational problem in this space, because absolutely everybody faces it, and it actually becomes more problematic at scale, right? If I'm just one person with, one wallet on one chain, I have to keep one thing safe. That's relatively straightforward. But if I'm an organization of people trying to develop something on chain, we're talking about many private keys shared by many people who actually have to use the keys to do things like deploy smart contracts. And that's when the key management problem becomes much harder and much scarier.
Okay, very interesting. Can you touch on, I guess, the role of Cubist here and how Cubist, with your range of products, makes for more effective key management?
Yeah, totally. So what we do, so let's set up the sort of straw man version of key management here. Um, so let's say I'm just an organization and I have a whole bunch of private keys just sitting around on computers, and I need to give a bunch of people access to those keys. Fine, great. I just give people, I say, here, go onto this machine, the key is in this file or whatever, and many people can use the key. But now I've actually given the key to all these people in my organization so they can go and, do whatever with it. Or I've also exposed it to an attacker by just like keeping it sitting around on the machine. So anyone in the organization or any attacker can just swipe this key off the machine. And if someone leaves my organization, for example, I can't revoke their access to the key. They've already seen it. They could have copied it. Who knows? So the first most foundational thing we do is actually give people access to keys without giving them the keys themselves. So we store keys in secure hardware where they're safe from attackers and any sort of prying eyes, even sort of good guy prying eyes, people who don't want to see the key, but maybe would have inadvertently. So we keep keys safe in secure hardware while giving people signing privileges so they can sign with those keys without holding the keys on their machines. And then we do a bunch of other stuff kind of behind that, like letting you set policies that actually control how a certain key can be used. So I can now, using the system, say, okay, here's a key. It can only be used to, say, deploy this one smart contract. And I will give privileges to sign with this key to a few members of my organization, but I can always revoke those privileges, for example, if someone leaves the organization or whatever. So that's sort of the combination of access control and policies are some of the ways we try to keep private keys safe. And I'm curious, have you guys been able to make Dayon a speaker? He looks like he's still a listener to me, but how
I
is
think
that
I'm on
going?
now.
I think
Oh,
we have him on.
you're on.
Okay.
Yeah, we got him.
Amazing. Hello.
Yeah, so the only thing that I was going to add to that was exactly like you can now turn a key into a key that has policies, which means you can do things like require 3 out of 5 people to approve a transaction before you actually produce a signature. So when it comes to, say, smart contract deployments, this means that you can actually have multiple people reviewing the contract upgrade that you're about to do or the contract deployment and have these people sign off on it before it ever makes it on chain. And one of those people can actually be your auditor. So, for example, like you can have an auditor involved in the process where they reviewed the contract that's about to be deployed, and then they can just be a participant in this protocol where you deploy the contract, but they actually have to be one of the approvers of the contract deployment. They'll never actually have access to your keys. This is kind of an important bit, but they can participate as an approver. So this is like one of the things that you can do. In the limit, there's all kinds of things that Vicky was already hinting at that we're going to work on together to make public. But you can actually tie this whole thing in back to your whole development pipeline. So like when you're like writing your smart contract and you're have folks review it, say on GitHub, these folks approve the smart contract, then you can have your GitHub pipeline actually build the contract. So this is the thing that will ultimately produce the, let's say the EVM bytecode or the BPF code that will ultimately be deployed on chain. And what we can do is actually we can have policies as code on the CubeSigner front. So this is on the Cubist side that can check this signature you're about to make to produce. So you're saying, I want to do this contract upgrade or I want to do this contract deployment. Well, what you can do is you can have a piece of code that checks against your GitHub pipeline that this was actually code produced by your pipeline, right? So like even if developer machines get compromised, what this means is like it won't actually ever like result in you deploying a bad contract or making an upgrade that you shouldn't be making. And similarly, like you can tie this in with a bunch of the other admin controls that you may have for your contracts. So this is just kind of like one of the things where you can use the programmability of the policy engine to do things that you couldn't do otherwise.
Okay, very interesting. And I guess without touching too much on the technical details here, how has the process of working with Yala over the last 2 weeks been? Yeah, what do all these innovations that Cubist brings to the table, what does that mean in practical terms for a project like like Yala that's recovering from an incident like this?
So I think one kind of critical longer term piece is sort of the thing Dan just described, where you can kind of get a guarantee sort of end to end that the contract you're deploying is actually what you intended to deploy and only that. I think another way we've talked about going down, about sort of locking down deployments much further, um, as a starting point, is just setting multi-party approval policies on deployment keys. So even if you don't have this sort of full end-to-end GitHub style pipeline that Dan was describing, you can still require that like 3 out of 5 people actually approve a contract deployment. They go and they look and they say, okay, yeah, this is the correct thing. This is what we mean to deploy. We were expecting this. Yes, yes, yes. Sign off. Okay, done. Um, and even something like that just dramatically raises the bar to this sort of attack.
Yeah, and to add to that, maybe focusing less on the smart contract bits, but maybe more on the Bitcoin bits. So there, Yala is already using CubeSigner for getting a bunch of validators effectively to come to consensus on what they're seeing on the Bitcoin chain, and then bridging that Bitcoin further. So the validators are actually using the multi-party approvals for exactly this way of basically not trusting any single party to make a decision by themselves. And you can kind of go even further than what is already happening with these smart contracts that are kind of running in hardware to additionally like write code. So like one of the things that I think would be pretty interesting to look at down the line is having a piece of code. So this is like in our case, WebAssembly code that would be serving as another layer of defense in addition to this multiple people coming together to sign a message. So this piece of code would, for example, watch Bitcoin and confirm that the transaction that you're about to bridge was actually corresponding to a real deposit. So you can encode this as code, and this code is kind of serving as a second layer of defense to what the validators are already doing. So like if either one is actually buggy, you can just make sure that like the other side catches it so that there's no single point of failure. And this is again like not that they are single points of failure, like multiple parties actually doing this, but there's like another layer of defense beyond the multiple layers of defenses. So like in a system like this where we're dealing with like critical components, like you really want to have many layers as defenses.
Yeah, definitely. Very interesting. And I guess as a last question here, touching a bit about or going a bit down the path you were going down towards the end. How do you I'm not sure how to phrase this, but how do you see like the security ecosystem evolve in this industry? So of course it's been around for a while now, the industry. We've seen a wide range of different security incidents over the last 10 to 12 years, and I guess they're evolving in complexity every single day. What kind of innovations are you excited about? And yeah, what can we expect from Cubist in the coming months and years?
So I'm happy to take a first cut at this, and maybe Fraser can add to it and give you her perspective. But I would actually say that the industry, in many cases, some folks are doing really well and really trying to push the boundaries here. And I think this is what I'm excited about us working with Yala together on pushing these boundaries, on basically like having key managers like CubeSigner be a thing from the very start, where it helps teams actually configure their operations in a secure way and kind of leave behind the old practices of there's a person with a laptop, maybe a ledger, probably not a ledger though. It's really probably just like a file on their laptop that has a key. So I think like we exactly kind of like where we should be looking forward to is there's a real key manager that you're using when you're managing sensitive keys like protocol keys or like highly sensitive deposit keys. And from day zero, these keys are actually living in this secure hardware instead of some developer's laptop. And I think for the industry to really move forward is adopting and integrating with these kinds of tools like we're talking about from the start. So like I think like having practices where people are just writing scripts and they're encouraging developers to write scripts that have keys on local disks should just be a thing that we don't do anymore. We should move away from these practices that make it easy to do the unsafe thing and move to the thing where like you have to do the secure thing. So this means like, players like Layer 0 might want to upgrade their SDKs to have support for these kinds of key managers. And kind of like the built-in like SDKs for Solana. We want to like maybe potentially have libraries that make it really easy to use tools like KubeSigner instead of, again, just using keys that are on your machine. So kind of moving away from the current practices of keys can just be things on your file to actually, this is part of your infrastructure, we should be doing it right. Similar to kind of like the way we write software today, right? Like we moved away from just slapping things together on one machine and then like shipping it to actually having a process for like we collaborate on software, people review this thing, and then you deploy the thing. It's no longer this ad hoc thing, even though it very well could be.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. And I'm really similarly excited to see, even more Solana deployment examples that use keys that aren't just on the local machine, for example. And I think one thing we're working on at Cubist that's sort of an exciting dovetail with this is the WASM policy engine that Dan mentioned before. So this lets you kind of program whatever policy you want and attach it to a key. And the reason I'm excited about sort of better development practices on the one hand and more programmable key management on the other hand is it really makes it possible to build in end-to-end security. So once you have all of your keys kind of even complicated like layer 0 deployment keys, say, or smart contract deployment keys, all your keys protected by some sort of system, and then if you can use that system to actually program really sophisticated rules for what the keys can and can't do, that gives you quite a bit of assurance that your keys are only ever going to be used for what you intended, right? And so that's sort of like intent-based key use is really exciting to me.
Okay,
I
very
actually
interesting.
want to add two things. I think right now the industry have the standard like practice for key management, like if we use Cubist, right, and also the smart contract auditing and like a lot of firm providing, and smart contract monitor like Fuzzland is working on. I think one blind spot is uh, after deployment review. I think that's where it's actually not a be like recommended by a lot of firm as Yala get to this point to be significant size with 200 million TVL. That's where the learn I have is after deployment review is critical, especially for the bridge practice. And that's, I think, it should be introduced to other protocols if they see they are doing something new. So that's one. The other thing is like Fraser mentioned, the full cycle for the security. And on top of that, right now we have to have the awareness as like a hacker use AI tool too, like everyone else. So they get more and more like easy to spot the weak spot in the protocol wherever it's possible. Even we do 100 things right, but there's one thing maybe we miss, so we didn't pay much attention. It could be a vulnerability for us. So that's where for security have to be more than 100% sure everything is take care. So that's, I think it's the industry have been not only the tool upgrade but the hacker upgrade themselves too.
Okay, got it. I think on that note, as we are not approaching the end, but taking up some time here, we'll jump over to Xiaofan quickly for a few questions, and then we'll reunite towards the end here. So Xiaofan, are you still with us?
Yeah.
Perfect. Welcome. Can you could you give your a quick introduction to yourself and what you do
Okay.
at Fuzzland?
Okay, so I'm co-founder and CTO at Fuzzland. We mainly do on-chain security solutions for Web3 products. And what we do includes monitoring and also from running attack transactions, detecting the attack intent before it really happens, and so on. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. And so Fuzzland was engaged quite immediately after the incident with Yala on September 14th. Could you walk us through the I guess the first steps from your perspective and how it all unfolded?
Okay, so I think Yala handled the exploit pretty professional. So on that day, Vicky invited me to a video chat and telling me that Yala has been hacked, and in the video chat there has been all engineers on the call, and in the meantime, when they see that the attack happens, they start to trace the funds with us, and also slow mist, and also they started to pause all the potential plausible protocol components. And after the call, Yala conducts a recovery plan, and like and there has been a lot of transparency.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. And I guess Yala is working quite closely with Fuzzland now to not just conduct on-chain and off-chain monitoring in the past, but to now evolve our collaboration a bit. So can you talk a bit about, I guess, Fuzzland's monitoring and auditing tools and how these are being implemented to help secure Yala?
Right. So we use a lot of different techniques to do smart contract analysis, including fuzzing, formal verification, and also static analysis. And all of those happens on chain. So for Yala, we plan to deploy 4 components. The first is that our engineer, of course, would manually analyze the whole protocol to find whether there are remaining backdoors in the protocol, and also check the on-chain bytecode to see that whether it matches the code that has been audited by other partners. And after that, our engineer would find a set of potential rules that we need to monitor. For example, if there has been like significant mint of YU or significant mint of Yala token, then there's definitely something going wrong. And this is the simplest case. There are a lot more complex rules that our engineers derive to monitor. And then we do monitoring for those rules, and also our monitor also uses a lot of like heuristics and machine learning to detect potential malicious intent of the attackers, and notify Yala, and in the meantime tries to pause the protocol before the real malicious things happens. And another thing we deploy is the on-chain fuzzing and best effort attack front running for Yala. So it happens like whenever there is a potential exploit or someone doing like really weird things on Yala, we try to predict what's their next step using formal method, using fuzzing, using machine learning, and then see like what can happen after they do all those weird things. And if there is potential like fund draining or other things like causing bad debt or causing other things, we can choose to either front run the whole attack by deriving the attack by ourselves, or we could try to pause the protocol if it is possible. And the last thing we do
Okay.
for Yala is that we have a multi-sig signing analysis system. So it's going to explain every transaction that's going to be signed by Yala, and it will be screened by our AI agent, which is capable of analyzing on-chain data and do fork testing of the smart contract and see what really happens after signing these transactions. See whether there is potential liquidation, see whether there is potential like issues caused by this the signature.
Okay, very interesting. So it's a full suite of security products you have lined up. So,
Right.
Vicky, can you anything to comment on our I guess our relationship with Fuzzland and how the collaboration
Yeah.
was over the past 2 weeks?
So first, I knew Fuzzland team about 2 years ago when Chao Fan was working in UC Berkeley and open source his first tool to help to do like a smart contract auditing. That was a fantastic tool. Then later, when they engage us, we start to think about what we can leverage in Fuzzland. So the team right now has been last 2 weeks. We go through a lot of like internal review and security training, a lot of discussion internally where we can improve ourselves, not only about the operation, but also the security practice. So definitely partner with Cubist and Fuzzland will be super critical for Yala security like investment. That's critical for the DeFi. I think and definitely we want to continue our partnership with both Cubist and Fuzzland.
I think that paves the way for future Twitter Spaces and podcast sessions with both Cubist and Fuzzland, so we can learn more about how this collaboration and the integrations are unfolding over the next many months. I think cautious that we are approaching the hour mark and have taken up a lot of time here. I want to I guess wrap this up by asking if there are any questions or additional comments. First of all, from the speakers, and then we can move to the audience afterwards. So I guess Vicky and Katie, for you, as well as for Xiaofan, Dayan, and Fraser, is there anything that we may have missed that could be important for this conversation?
I believe we covered it all, so we'll open the floor. If there's any questions from the listener, feel free to raise your hand. Thank you.
I think we decided only to take written questions here. We incorporated them all into the Q&A that we've just been through. So we've covered, I think, most of the key questions. So I think on that note, thanks a lot everyone for joining, Vicky and Katie for taking the time to explain the events of September 14th, and Xiaofan, Dayan, and Fraser for explaining what Fuzzland and Cubist do so well, and to, I guess, deep dive into the relationship with Yala and how your respective products and companies have helped Yala emerge stronger from these events. So thank you very much.
All right, thank everyone for coming. Yeah.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you all. And as always, we'll post this on YouTube and Twitter in the coming days for anyone who missed any part. So stay tuned. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.